Hi, in this video, I'm going to go over multi-step factoring, such as this example. So the first thing you should look for is always a GCF, which is a greatest common factor. If there is one, you should factor that out. The other thing you should always look for is a leading negative. What is a leading negative? Well, here is an example. Negative 3x squared plus 9x plus 30, I want to factor out the leading negative since there is a negative in front of the 3, but then I look to see if 3 is in common with the other terms. So is 3 in common with 9 and 30? In other words, do they have common factors? Yes, they do. So I can actually factor out a negative 3. So when I factor out a negative 3, that means I divide the negative 3, or you can actually multiply. So I can say negative 3 times what number will give me x squared, and that is x squared. Negative 3 times what number will give me 9x? Well, that has to be a negative because a negative times a negative is a positive. So we would say negative 3x. And you can always check your work. So negative 3 times negative 3x is 9x. Then the last one, negative 3 times what number here will give us positive 30? So that would be negative 10. So all we did in the first step is we factored out a leading negative, and we also found a common factor, which is our GCF. Now this, if you could see in the title, is called multi-step factoring. So we are not done here because we're going to check to see if we can still factor what is in the parentheses. So let's look to see in the parentheses. Now we have a much simpler trinomial. We can check to see what two numbers, we can ignore this negative 3. We can say what two numbers give us negative 10 when we multiply that add up to negative 3. So if you want to pause the video here and try to figure that out, or if you already can think about that, if you said negative 5 plus 2, you are correct, because negative 5 times 2 is negative 10, and negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. So we actually have our other factors that when we would multiply them, we would get x squared minus 3x minus 10. Now you could use an area model if you like. What do I mean by an area model? So if I just use an area model for the highlighted region, which is right here, I would go ahead and place my x squared here, my negative 10 here, and these represent the middle terms. In other words, they represent, when you add them, you get negative 3x. So I can put negative 5x anywhere along this diagonal. So let's say I put it up here, and then 2x over here by default. Then what you can do is look at a row, the first row on the top, and say what is in common between x squared and negative 5x. So if you said x, you are correct. And then we can divide by multiplying backwards. X times what number up here is x squared? That would be x. And x times what number here is negative 5x? That would be negative 5. Going to the bottom row, x times what number here would give us 2x? That would be 2. And let's check the last one. 2 times negative 5 gives us negative 10. So that works. So what we get is our outside numbers are actually our factors. These are our factors. So we can rewrite our factoring expression. If you look at the top one here, don't forget the negative 3. So I would rewrite it as negative 3 times, and then the order in which you write the factors on the top of this area model doesn't matter. So you can write x plus 2 times x minus 5. And this would be fully factored. So there were several steps for this one.